Hello everyone, my name is Elijah David, minister of the 12th Hour Apostolic Sabbatarian Congregation, Mount Zion, the 12th Hour. In the Liberty Hill, Texas, today is June 22, 2013, or the 14th day of the 4th month, 2017. We will start our third service on this 7th-day Sabbath with a song entitled, His Eye is on the Sparrow. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? When Yahshua is my portion, my constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Let not your heart be troubled. His tender word I hear, and resting on His goodness, I lose my doubts and fear. Though by the path He leadeth, but one step I may see. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Whenever I am tempted, whenever clouds arise, when songs give place to sighing, when hope within me dies, I draw the closer to Him. From care He sets me free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He cares for me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He cares for me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. Part 7, Signs of Yahshua's Coming. We're still in Time of Greeting, Volume 2, number 44 by the B.T. Harleth. We're going to do a little review from our last study. We're going to deal with page 38, Matthew 25, 1 to 12. Again, we're going to deal with those 10 virgins. Folks, this is new to just about everybody out there. And as we get breaking light on these 10 virgins, we're going to unfold them and spend a lot of time explaining to you, the folks that are interested in understanding these 10 virgins. It says, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. Okay. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom, Yahshua, now that's the Son, tarried, they all slumbered and slept. Okay, so now, the bridegroom tarried. So apparently these 10 virgins had gone out to meet the bridegroom early on, before he actually came back. In other words, an announcement was made that the bridegroom was coming, but he tarried. Okay. So now, we were told in 1970, by the brother Stevie Johnson, that we had entered into the Isaac branch period at Gilead Center. And the branch is another name for Yahshua, the bridegroom. And we were told that by 1974 we would meet up with the bridegroom, and that we would go into the banquet, and that we would stand with the bridegroom with 144,000 on Mount Zion at the Pentecost in 1974. So the prophet, Brother Johnson, made the prophecy. He was very sure of himself. He couldn't be moved off of it. People tried to get him to reconsider, rethink his setting of the date to meet the bridegroom. But the bridegroom didn't show up in 1974, so at Gilead Center. So what happened then? Well, those folks there, I was with them, and today I represent the 5 wise virgins, so apparently I must have been preparing myself to be part of the 5 wise virgins at their appointed time. So apparently there were those in our midst that represented the 5 foolish virgins. Now all of us, wise and foolish at that time, had prepared ourselves to meet the bridegroom. At least we thought we did. We sure met in a room, and we're all encouraged, sitting around in a circle, holding hands, waiting for the bridegroom to come through that door. Okay. But it didn't happen in 1974, so apparently to Gilead Center, the bridegroom tarried. And everybody slumbered and slept for the next 28 years, from 1974 to 2002. And then again the cry was made, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. That cry was made at the Passover 2002 by the same prophet that made the cry in 1974. Okay. So apparently the 5 wise and the 5 foolish, they endured through that slumbering time. Or at least we did from 1974 to 2002. Everybody endured together. We continued to worship together until 2002. The 2 groups of people, the 5 wise and the 5 foolish. The 5 foolish represent the goats, the 5 wise represent the sheep. So, we all worshiped together in the same temple for another 28 years, in 1974. And so the cry was made in 2002, and we all rose and trimmed our lamp. Well, apparently the bridegroom came, because there was a separation starting that night of the 2 groups of people, the 5 wise and 5 foolish at their Gilead Center. There were those that were wise that were separated from the foolish one. So, that could be termed as a tarrying time, a slumbering time. Let's go on. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight, which I told you before, midnight symbolically is 12 o'clock. On your clock on the wall, at midnight it strikes 12. There was a cry made. Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Okay. Well, Passover constitutes midnight. The Passover time of the year constitutes midnight. Because when the children of Israel were thrust out of Egypt, literally, with Moses leading them, they were thrust out at the dead of midnight there in Egypt, at the 12th hour of what we call on our clock 12th hour was at midnight. So apparently then the 11th parabolic hour closed on Egypt and Pharaoh's people that night, as the 12th hour came on to deliver the children of Israel. So the children of Israel were delivered in the 12th hour. Well, at the end of the 12th hour, put it that way. They were delivered at the end of the 12th hour into the wilderness. And when they got into the wilderness, that denoted the coming up of the sun and beginning the first hour of the day. Okay? They were delivered in the middle of the 12th hour. They spent 6 hours traveling on foot that night while it was still dark in the 12th hour. And when the 12th hour was over, they entered into the wilderness at the rising of the sun to start the first day of the symbolic day, or the first hour of the symbolic day. And literally starting the first hour of the daylight also. Okay, then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather unto them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him unto the marriage, and the door was shut. Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, Master, Master, open up to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Well, with our separation in 2002 at Gilead Center, we have yet to see the foolish show up banging on that door wanting in. Apparently that's a later date. Well, in other words, the five foolish. The prophecy and the parable made its fulfillment 2002 at Kermit, Texas. But I will say this. We're going to have a repeat of that midnight cry again. And it will be the year that 144,000 comes forth. And it will happen at Passover. Okay? In this parable it is seen that the church is likened unto 10 virgins, 5 of whom do not avail themselves of the extra oil, that is new truth, for the next hour. A special truth for this time, that is, these 5 do not give heed unto the truth of the judgment of the living, the separation or purification of the church. When the cry is made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him, all 10 virgins see that the light in their lamps is going out. They see that the message of the judgment of the dead is passing. Quickly then the 5 wise virgins refill their lamps with the extra oil, which they have stored in their vessels, and go on to meet the bridegroom. Rather the 5 foolish virgins, those who thought there was no need for the extra oil, no need for an extra message, the message of the judgment of the living, find themselves in the gross darkness. Yes, they find themselves without the light, which the message of the judgment of the living unfolds. Upon the discovering of their foolish neglect, they rush to obtain all light on the subject, but in the meantime the door has been shut. Probationary time for the virgin The church is troubled. When they call for the admission, they are politely told by the Yahshua himself, I know you not. But I will dare say that when the 144,000 comes forth, then you will see these 5 foolish virgins come banging at that door. And what door are they going to come banging at? The door of the everlasting kingdom of the David. For Yahshua is inside that door, sitting upon the throne of David, in the kingdom of heaven here on earth. For the sign of the coming kingdom, which this parable brings forth, is obviously the special message, the extra oil, which announces the judgment of the living, the message which awakens the open-hearted truth seekers, and which dooms its opposers, the hypocrites and lukewarm in the congregation of the Seventh-day Adventists, and the Davidian Seventh-day Adventists, those who are satisfied and think themselves rich and increased with the goods, in need of nothing, in need of no time of truth. Those who never awaken to the fact that they are absolutely destitute. Mind you, these are not my words. Read what the Yahshua says unto the Laodicea, the Seventh-day Adventist church. Better yet, the angel unto the Laodicea. Revelation 3:14-18. And unto the angel of the Seventh-day Adventist congregation, and more closely of the Branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventist in Kermit, Texas. Really, that is a more accurate description. But he's still the angel of the candlestick for the Adventist church. But keeping in mind that the Branch Davidians also inherited that name, Laodicea. Well, don't you get your inheritance from your mother and your father? Okay. Well, that's what the Branch Davidians are. They are a daughter of Laodicea. These things saith the Amen, the faithful and true witnesses, the beginning of the creation of the Yahweh. So, Yahshua is the beginning of the creation of Yahweh. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou wert cold or hot, so then because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Because thou sayest, I am rich and increase with goods and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel thee to buy me gold, tried in the fire that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment that thou mayest be clothed, and let the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with the eye salve that thou mayest see. Another view of this tragic truth is given in Luke 14:16-24. Then said he unto him, A certain man made a great supper, and bade many, and sent his servant at the supper time, and say unto them that were bidden, Come, for all things are now ready. And they all with the one consent began to make excuse. First said unto him, I have bought a piece of ground, and I must needs go and see it. I pray thee have me excused. Another said, I have bought 5 yoke of the oxen, and I go to prove them. I pray thee have me excused. Another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. And so that servant came and showed his master these things. And the master of the house, being angry, said unto his servant, Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in hither the poor, and the maimed, and the halt, and the blind. And the servant said unto and the servant said, Master, it is done, as thou hast commanded, and yet there is room. The master said unto the servant, Go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say unto you, that none of those things which were bidden shall, who were bidden shall taste of my supper. In this parable are seen 2 periods of the time. The first period is while the gospel. Now, the gospel of the day would be the teaching of the plan of salvation with the blood of the Yahshua through the sanctuary. Okay? The heavenly sanctuary, for it is in operation today. And the one here on earth is operating also according to the laws of the one in heaven. So this one here on earth and one in heaven is one and the same. Yahweh's creation counter. The first period is while the gospel has made many, Luke 14:16, unto the marriage supper, the time from the apostles unto the time of his last servant with the last message. Okay. So, to pick it up in our day, then, that first period of time was from 1844 to 2002. That's your first period. That's when he bade many. Be the Adventists and the Davidian Seventh-day Adventist, Shepherd Rod, and then the Branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventist, Gilead Center, at the 11th hour. Okay, so it says, in this parable are seen two periods at a time. The first period is while the gospel has bade many. So, the Seventh-day Adventists, they had the gospel from 1844 to 1930. And that gospel was the three angels' message. So they taught that to many nations. Okay. So they personally bade many. But at the same time, the Shepherd Rod from 1930 to 1970 was pleading with the Adventist Church to stop her backsliding and come back into the kingdom and continue teaching the gospel of the three angels' messages. So they refused to do it. So they represent also part of those many that were bade to the supper. Seeing how the supper didn't take place until 2002 for the Adventist Church, so then there was a lot of work done in pleading with the Adventists over the years to come to the marriage feast. So in the case of the Adventists, they had three feeding pastures. They had the first one, Bashan, and so at the beginning of that feeding pasture, they had the seed sown and the gospel being taught to many. But when Bashan started closing out in 1890, that ended that feeding pasture. And so they were, two messengers sent to the Adventist Church to bid everybody to come up a step higher into this next phase of the kingdom. And many of them refused to do it. A few did accept it, but many more refused. So that was the first period. The second period from 1930 to 1970 with the Shepherd Rod bidding the Adventists once again to come up a step higher. And many of those and most of those Adventists refused. But quite a few of them accepted B.T. Hollis. But they've all come and gone and lived and died and they're all in their graves today. So who are we talking about this here marriage supper today? It had to be for the living. So, although this living Adventist church and this Davidian Adventists out there around the world, you're given a call to come up to this marriage supper of the Lamb. That's right here in the very near future. And the year that it happens, it will be announced by this office here. And when that real marriage supper is about to take place, then Elijah David from this office will announce it to the Sabbath-keeping world, to the 10 virgins, the 5 wise and 5 foolish. And those that come up to the marriage supper will represent the 5 wise, and those that don't will represent the 5 foolish. So it says that first period was from the Apostles' time until 2003. at the closing of the Adventist church. And they're three angels' messages. That's all they ever embraced, so that's all they get. Now, Yahshua added the fourth and fifth angel to the third there in 2002. So in this parable are seen two periods of the time. First period is while the gospel has bade many, Luke 14:16, unto the marriage supper, and at that time Hollis reckons is from the apostles to the time of his last servant with the last message. So the last servant with the last message would be Elijah David. Okay, and that's to the house of Israel, not the last message to the world. The last message to the world is the one that Revelation 18:1 angel comes down and lightens the whole earth with his glory. He's the one with the last message to the world. And that message will join the fourth and the third angel as well. So Elijah David will also have that message to teach. As a matter of fact, which I'm already teaching right now. And that's the latter rain of truth. So, servant, the last message Elohim sends unto his people, the time all things are ready. For the next period is in the time that his last servants are with the servant, Luke 14:17. For this servant is sent, we are told, at the supper time, at the end of the 11th parabolic hour day. Okay, and this also means at the end of the 12th parabolic for the living. But that call to supper was made to those in the judgment of the dead period up to 2002. And that was for the 11th hour workers to come to the supper. So that's when the call officially is made to the Mount Zion's 11th hour in terms of Texas. Okay, indicating that he bears the last message. Okay. And this Elijah David is the one that is bearing this last message because he represents that fifth group of laborers in Matthew 20 verse 6, and that was the five groups of laborers. That fifth group had the last message for the world. There's no more messengers or groups to show up after that. Moreover, he is at first sent unto those who have previously been bidden. Okay. So, Gilead Center had previously been bidden, and 2002 for sure at the Passover, and in 2003 they were bidden again by the Elijah David to come and join. All is forgiven. No grudges. We don't hold any animosity. Just come and let us pick up where we left off. Except this time be in perfect unity. That is unto those who were ready to end the gospel truth, end the church. At the outset, he is to contact a class of people deeply engrossed with the cares of this life and to tell them that all things are now ready. That if they wish, they can now prepare and go into the wedding, there to enjoy the bridegroom's banquet. This is the last call for the supper. So, that group of laborers in Matthew 20, verse 6, that fifth group, that's called to work in the 12th hour, they're the last workers. And they're the ones that give the last call to supper. But what happens? They excuse themselves from having anything to do with the banquet just then. Some lay the blame on their professions, while others blame having to make a living for the family, whereupon the master of the house angrily sends his servant unto the poor and unto the afflicted, unto those who are hungry, and not too busy to take heed, unto those who are not so encumbered with the business at home that they cannot answer the call. This very thing takes place in the city proper, the church. The poor, those who realize that they are not rich and increase with goods, come in, but still there is room for more. Then it is that the Yahshua, or the servant, commands that he should go after those who are on the highways and hedges, those outside of the church circle, even unto the ends of the earth. That's the hedges right at the end of the earth. But before the servant goes into the highways and hedges on his last mission, the master emphatically informs him that those who had been bidden and who excused themselves from coming in are to be entirely excluded from the banquet. But none of them will be permitted even to taste of the supper, that by the turn of deaf ear unto the call, these have closed their own probationary time, and that there is now nothing that can after this alter the situation. After this, the servants can let and cry, go out unto the nations, and the master's house is filled. For the wedding takes place, and the bridegroom serves all that are in the house, but none others. Let's continue. It says, for the same event is again given from another point of view, this time by the gospel prophet. Now, this Elijah today is your gospel prophet for these last days. Isaiah 52, 1 and 2, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion, put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and unclean. Shake thyself in the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For this particular prophecy discloses that while the congregation of Jerusalem and Zion is asleep and naked, with the unclean in her midst, and in the captivity among the Gentiles, away from her own land, an awakening cry, a message comes urging her to arise and put on her beautiful garments, for the wicked declares the cry will no more come into her, for they are to be utterly cut off. For the wicked declares the cry, that's the cry, will no more come into her, for they are to be utterly cut off. For the signs of the kingdom, you see, are even more important for one to observe than are the signs of Yahshua's coming. If one should miss the signs of the kingdom and the knowledge of the signs of the Yahshua coming, would profit nothing, for all such will be frightened at his appearing and say, to the mountains and rocks fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Revelation 6, 16 and 17. On the efforts to set up the premillennial kingdom, the purified congregation, accompanied by the great signs and wonders, by the noise and pomp, and to this question the Yahshua answers. Matthew 13, 31 to 33. For the kingdom of the heaven is like unto a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. Verily, when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he unto them, for the kingdom of heaven is likened unto leaven, which a woman took, and hid 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. Now, who is this woman in this parable? Well, number one, she's a prophetess, and she's comes up in the time of the first stages of the infant kingdom that began at the Seventh-day Advent in 1844. So Ellen G. White being this woman in the parable of Matthew 13:33, the 3 measures of meal is your 3 angels' messages. Okay? And that the leaven that she took and hid in the 3 measures of meal was no doubt the former and the latter rain of the truth congealing together in the first month starts the judgment of the living in 2002, starting at the Passover at Gilead Center, till the whole was leavened. Okay, so now the whole is not leavened yet, because when the whole is leavened, that means that 2 houses of Israel come together as one. That represents the 2 wave loaves in the sanctuary that are baking become completely whole at the Pentecost. They'll be completely baked until they're done. Zechariah 4:6. Not by the might, nor by the power, and when they're completely baked and fully done, the two houses will represent the 144,000 at the antitypical Pentecost in the very near future. Zechariah 4:6. Not by the might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Yahshua of hosts. Not a blast or a boom, and not a bust either, but the plain, quiet truth, brother, sister, is what saves you and brings the kingdom into the being. What is this pre-millennial kingdom like? And what other signs precede its establishment? The answer to this question comes through to Ezekiel 36:23-28. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am the Yahweh, saith the Yahweh Elohim, and I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all the countries, and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. New heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them, and you shall dwell in the land that I gave unto your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Yahweh Elohim. Okay, now, Yahshua is the one that becomes as a father to these people because he's the one that he has redeemed. Okay, here are additional signs. Signs which are displayed within and without the man himself. The scars and defects which sin has written upon the bodies of the Elohim's people are washed away. Also the sin-hardened heart is carved out of them, and a new tender heart that delights in the keeping of the Elohim's statutes and judgment is set in. When does this take place? After Elohim takes his saints from among the heathen, out of all countries, and bring them into their own land, say the Scriptures. Thus shall they dwell in the land that Elohim anciently gave unto their fathers, and thus shall they be his people, and he their Elohim. Here you see that no one can meet Elohim face to face and live with him eternally without first having his body cleansing and heart changing experience. So we're talking about the Son actually here. We say Yahweh, this is Yahshua face to face. When he comes back the second time, he says he's going to come back without sin unto salvation. That's in Hebrews chapter 9. Okay, he's going to come back without sin at all. And when he does that, then you're going to have to sanctify and purify yourself and be ready to meet him, or you cannot look upon his face. Before, when he came to this earth, he came taking on man's fallen nature. He veiled his face with humanity, with the fallen humanity. At this time, he doesn't veil his face. And because it says in Corinthians, now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face we shall see him and know him, and he will know us even as we are. But we will be like him. Very evidently, none who remain ignorant of these signs of the coming kingdom will have this experience, and consequently shall never enter into it, never be fitted to live and reign with Yahshua. Since these signs are so vital unto the salvation, they should no longer be overlooked. They should receive first consideration if we expect Yahshua's second coming to be for our good, not unto our damnation. Indeed, for this obvious reason, it is at this late hour this important message is brought unto our attention. For the great truth is again foretold in the words of Zechariah. Zechariah 12, 5 to 14. Zechariah 13, 1 to 5. So it says, and the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and the Yahweh of hosts are Elohim. And that day will I make the governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. Yahshua also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. And that day shall the Yahshua defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. And the house of David shall be as the Elohim, as the angel of Yahweh before them. It shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplication. And they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. And that day shall there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of the head of the Rimmon in the valley of Megiddo. And the land shall mourn, every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, the family of the Shimei apart, and their wives apart, all the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. And that day there shall be a fountain open unto the house of the David, and unto the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Okay, the house of David is here in Liberty Hill, Texas. It's where this fountain is open right now. That's the fountain of truth flowing, of inspiration flowing from this office. And that's represented by the Ezekiel 47 river today. That's the same thing. That fountain for sin and uncleanness in Zechariah 13 to the house of David is the same thing as the fountain in Ezekiel 47 river. And open for sin, for uncleanness. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Yahshua of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when they shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him shall say unto him, Thou shalt not live. For thou speakest lies in the name of the Yahshua, and his father and his mother that begat him shall thrust him through when he hath prophesied. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophet shall be ashamed every one of his vision, when he hath prophesied. Neither shall they wear a rough garment to deceive, but he shall say, I am no prophet, I am a husbandman. A man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. Well, the revival reformation herein presented mourning and heart-searching caused by the appreciativeness of the Elohim's great mercy and goodness shall be in the day that the governors of Judah say, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and the day the Yahshua makes even the most feeble among them as the David, and the house of David as the Elohim, as the angel of the Yahweh. Okay? When this thorough reformation takes place, then the cleansing fountain shall be open unto the whole house of the David. And that day the wicked shall be cut off, and they're kept out of the house of the David, and the false teachers, prophets, shall feel ashamed of having ever taught their private interpretation of the Scriptures. Then shall men fully realize that though they could be taught by men to keep cattle, yet no man could teach them to prophesy, that this office is restricted unto the spirit of prophecy, that no prophecy of the Scriptures is of any private interpretation. In this cleansing, heaven-fitting premillennial kingdom is set up in the probationary time. Final answer we shall turn to the prophecy of the Micah, chapter 3, verse 12, Micah 4, verse 1 and 2. Therefore shall Zion for your sake be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem shall become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of the forest. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountain, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow under it. And many nations shall come and say, Come and let us go up unto the mountain of the Yahweh. And actually this is the mountain of the Yahshua, the Son, which is the mountain of David. And unto the house of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. We will walk in his paths, for the Lord shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Here we are told that in the latter days is our time. For the ancient kingdom that was destroyed will be reestablished and exalted above all other kingdoms. Then people shall flow into it, because the Lord shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. For the gospel work, therefore, is to be finished while its headquarters stand in the Holy Land. Thus, the kingdom is set up in the probationary time, in the time of the salvation and judicial purification. For after it is set up, other people from many nations flow into it. This is what the Bible says, and certain it is, that this is what is to be. For not even the devil can defeat Elohim's plan or cheat his people. Oh yes, the devil will try to explain away what these scriptures say, but he can never make them say something other than what they do say. Besides, anyone taking the devil's word in the preference unto Elohim deserves the devil's reward, and I'm sure he will not be cheated out of it. Since these signs of times, in addition unto others, are of far greater importance than the Lisbon earthquake, the dark day, and the falling stars, we had better awaken to the demand which they impose upon us, and which are bound to fit us for the second coming of the Yahshua in the person, and for a home in his kingdom if heeded. But if these signs cannot awaken us, then it is positive that they will cause us to slide down into the bottomless pit, while dreaming of being rich and increased with goods, in need of nothing, supposedly on the way to the glory land. What disappointment and what weeping and gnashing of teeth that would be. Who is to drive the Gentiles out of the land? The answer is in Zechariah 1, 14 to 17 and 20 to 21. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith the Yahshua of the host, I am jealous for the Jerusalem and for the Zion with a great jealousy. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Therefore thus saith Yahweh, I am returned unto Jerusalem with mercies, for my house shall be built in it, saith the Yahshua of the host. The reason I use Yahshua as a host, he's the son that is hosting the 144,000 in the house of David. And the line shall be stretched forth upon the Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, Thus saith Yahshua of the host, My cities through the prosperity shall yet be spread abroad. And the Yahshua shall yet comfort Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem. And the Yahshua showed me 4 carpenters, and said, What come these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up, his head, but these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of the Judah, to scatter it. Obviously, one part of the Gentile nation shall come against the part that is in the Holy Land, and chase them out for the making of the room for the Elohim's people. Then will the Yahshua's feet stand upon the Mount of Olives. And the mount shall cleave in the midst thereof, and make therein a very great valley. Thus shall the Yahshua open the way for his people to flee there unto the valley, where the Yahshua's feet stand, and all the saints with him. Zechariah 14, 4 and 5. This truth you see supersedes all truth, for without it, your other truths will not profit. Will not take you into the kingdom. It is the last mile of all the miles of our faith through the life that takes us home. We have gone this long. Let us therefore keep on going right on into the glory land, which is no longer beyond the horizon. The mile ahead is indeed the last mile that will take us home. Okay, this is the end of our Time of Greetings, Volume 2, number 44. And we're going to now do a little review. And let's see possibly what Time of Greetings, Volume 2, number 45 has to offer. It says, what is Christianity? And that's a good question. Who may take a hold of it and who may miss it? That will be the next address by the VT Holler. Through the faith in Yahshua, every deficiency of the character may be supplied, every defilement cleansed, every fault corrected, every excellence developed. You are complete in Him. Okay. For the prayer and faith are closely allied and they need to be studied together. In the prayer of the faith there is a divine science. It is a science that everyone who would make his life work a success must understand. For Yahshua says, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them. He make it plain that our asking must be according unto the Elohim's will. We must ask for the things that He has promised, and whatever we receive must be used in doing His will. Okay, for the conditions met, the promise is unequivocal. For the pardon of the sin, for the Holy Spirit, for a Messiah-like temper, for wisdom and strength to do His work, for any gift He has promised, we may ask. Then we are to believe that we receive and return thanks unto Elohim that we have received. We need to look for no outward evidence of the blessing, for the gift is in the promise, and we may go out, or we may go about our work assured that what the Elohim has promised, He is able to perform, and that the gifts which we already possess will be realized when we need it most. That's taken from Education by the Ellen G. White, page 257 and 258. For those of you that would be interested in reading that and more of her stuff. Okay, so now it says, well, let's just have a little review, actually on number 44. We just got a few minutes left. The signs of Yahshua's second coming are the signs of the kingdom which we have learned that the signs in the scriptures are only for the house of Israel and the house of Judah, the 12 tribes. For no other will understand these signs, nor ever will be able to. They will have to join the house of Israel and be participants in their daily worship service, and be participants in their Bible studies to understand and become like Hebrew, the Gentiles, or to be conformed to the Hebrew's image. Now we know that this is true, for it says in Romans 8, and we're going to read it, starting with verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Yahweh Elohim, unto them who are the called according unto His purpose. And it says, for whom He did foreknow, He also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of His Son. So if He foreknew you, whether you're Jew or Gentile, you are to be conformed to the image of His Son, that He might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom He did predestinate, them He also called, and whom He called, them He also justified, and whom He justified, them He also glorified. What shall we then say unto these things? If Elohim be for us, who can be against us? He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Who shall lay anything unto the charge of the Elohim's elect? Who is this elect? This is the house of David, up front, first and foremost, that appears in the antitype in these last days as the everlasting kingdom of heaven here on earth, representing it, which is called the everlasting kingdom of David at the same time. That's who the elect are. It's 144,000 that makes up the rest of the elect in this house of David. It is Elohim that justified. Who is he that condemneth? It is Yahshua that died, yea, rather that is risen again, who is even at the right hand of the Father, who also maketh intercession for us. Who shall separate us from the love of Yahshua? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life nor angels nor principalities nor powers nor things present nor things to come nor height nor depth nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of the Elohim which is in the Yahshua Messiah our Savior. We will now bring you to close this service with a song entitled, Turn Your Eyes Upon the Yahshua. Oh, so are you weary and troubled? No light in the darkness you see. There's light for a look at the Savior, and life more abundant and free. Turn your eyes upon Yahshua, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. Through death, through life everlasting, he passed and we followed him there. Over us sin no more had dominion, for more than conquerors we are. Turn your eyes upon Yahshua, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. His word shall not fail you, he promised. Believe him and all will be well. And go to the world that is dying, his perfect salvation to tell. Turn your eyes upon Yahshua, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of earth